Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be going over all the new LGBTQ plus releases for the month of August. So if you are a fan of queer literature, stick around because I'm planning on implementing this into my channel regularly now, and it's just so fun to know all the new hit books that are coming out with LGBT characters and themes. So without further ado, let's get into those. So instead of going through Goodreads, because I found there to be a lot of problems last month when I used Goodreads, I went through different sources this time. So all my adult titles were researched through pub alerts, and then I would take it over to Goodreads and see if they had any LGBT themes listed as a tag. And for the YA titles, I sourced it through a new blog I found, which is Bookbird's blog. I definitely recommend checking it out because they list all the new LGBT books that are coming out for young adult for every single month. They are very well prepped in advance, but in case I missed any fell through the cracks, my favorite bloggist is Eloise Brad Books on Instagram, and then Mary B Books also has a great Instagram page, and both of them discuss the different releases that come out. But from what I can see, there are about 27, almost 30 books that are coming out in the next month. There's definitely a bigger focus on horror this time around, which makes sense for the season. This is when we start getting a lot of horror releases, but there are some other genres as well. So let's get into what is releasing. So we're going to start with August 5th. This is the first day of releases in August. And we're starting off with Build a Boyfriend Project by Mason Deaver. This is Mason Deaver's first adult novel. They have previously written a lot of young adult novels. They are very well known for writing one of the first mainstream young adult novels that has a non-binary character in it. This is listed as romance, adult, MM, and of course it has a trans author. And so this follows a journalist in a dead-end job, and he has a very disastrous blind date. And so he decides to write this article helping this person become a better boyfriend, and it's said to be a sweet, steamy queer romance with trans representation. Going into our next read, we have Teodioremia by Elaine Yu Cho. This is book 2 in a sci-fi space opera series, and it's listed as adult and queer. So this is the sequel to Ocean's Godori. It looks like it takes place with a crew, possibly on a spaceship. I haven't read the series yet, but from the description, I'm getting it might be kind of a lyrical take on a space opera, so that's very intriguing. Getting into our horror, we have Black Flame by Gretchen Felker Martin. This is listed as horror, queer, and historical fiction, and this is by the same author as Manhunt, and it's about a woman with a deadly obsession with a haunted film, and it's said to be perfect for fans of Midsommar and Night Film. The next horror is This Is My Body by Lindsay King Miller. It is listed as horror, adult, and queer. This is about family, trauma, and possession, and it looks like it has both an emotional, gripping story as well as a very satirical, funny story. The last horror book and the last book of August 5th is going to be The Faceless Things We Adore by Hester Steele. This is listed as horror, adult, contemporary, and queer. And this book looks like it might have some cult aspects to it. The main character breaks up with their shitty boyfriend, goes to a foreign country, ends up in a situation where they are doing something, praying to an angry god. Not sure if, again, that's cult related or not. Very intriguing nonetheless. But let's get into August 12th. And we're going to start off with the only fiction pick for next month, and that's going to be The Sunflower Boys by Sam Watchman, or is it Walkman? But this is listed as adult fiction, historical, and Aquilin, or MM, and it looks to be a coming-of-age story about a young boy who is struggling with his sexuality in modern Ukraine. The next book we have is Tony and Addie Go Viral by Melissa Marr, and this is a romance or rom-com book. It's contemporary, it's lesbian, and it's adult, and it looks like the main character is a writer, and her book series is going viral, and she starts to get involved with the person that is playing her main character in this movie franchise, and they are having a secret wedding, and people are like, is this a publicity stunt? Is it not? So very intrigued there. The next book we have is Alchemy and a Cup of Tea by Rebecca Thorne. This is the fourth and final book in the Can't Spell Treason Without Tea series, which is a adult fantasy romance. This is cozy fantasy, slice of life fantasy, and this will be the final book in that series. Jumping back into horror, we have A Game in Yellow by Haley Piper. This is horror, it's listed as erotica, and it's listed as lesbian, and it looks like it's about a couple whose search to spice up their sex life leads them down a really bad path. The next book we have is Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. Chuck Tingle writes a lot of very meta, very romance erotica books on Amazon mostly, but like self-published stuff, and recently he has been coming out with more traditionally published work. I have been really interested interested in reading his stuff. I haven't gotten to it yet. I believe this is his second book in the traditional pub sphere. This is listed as queer, horror, fiction, and science fiction. And the premise is that a woman must go up against the most horrifying concept of all, which is nothing. It seems like he really is sticking with his absurdist horror lens, so I'm very intrigued. Going into memoir, we have Hotshot, A Life of Fire by River Selby. This is a memoir about a person that was femme or female presenting. They have since come out as non-binary, but it's their experience female presenting in a space that is male dominated. Going into young adult, we have our first book, which is going to be Marisol Acts the Part by Ellie Gonzalez Rose. This is a contemporary romance for young adults, and it's listed as lesbian. And it looks like our main character is a actress, and she ends up in the same project as her ex-boyfriend, and she starts to fall for the person that he is acting with. So lots of messy fun there. Getting into our final pick of August 12th, we have Tall Water by S.J. Sindhu, and this is a young adult graphic novel. It is a coming-of-age story about a young girl who travels to Sri Lanka with her long-lost mother, and then the tsunami of 2004 hits. Going into August 19th, we have a ton of picks. First one being Lessons in Magic and Disasters by Charlie Jane Anders. This is listed as adult, dark academia, sci-fi fantasy, and lesbian. And this looks to be an academic story about Jamie, the main character, teaching her mother magic, and then there is a secret enchanted book. I'm very interested in the aspect of the main character teaching their mother magic instead of the other way around, but very intrigued. The next book we have is The Last Among Wolves by Melissa Caruso. And this is an adult queer lesbian SFF, and this is the second installment in the Echo Archives series, and it is an adventure fantasy featuring cursed relics and a sapphic romance and a magical murder mystery. It's listed as SFF, so I'm wondering if there are some sci-fi elements. We have another nonfiction coming out next month, and that's going to be Baldwin, A Love Story by Nicholas Boggs. This is a biography of both Baldwin and the author Nicholas Boggs, and it looks like Nicholas Boggs is relating back to his own work and how it was shaped by Baldwin, and we're getting a good look at a lot of new archival material on Baldwin that we haven't previously explored. Getting into young adult, we have Leaving the Station by Jake Maya Arlo. This is going to be romance, young adult, and lesbian, and it looks like it's a coming-of-age story about these two girls that are traveling to college or traveling somewhere, and they are taking the train across the US. As a train girly, I am very intrigued by this. So the last book for August 19th and for the young adult is going to be Tripping Over You by Susanna Harcum and Owena White. This is a young adult graphic novel series, and it looks like it's a relationship between a eccentric theater kid and a withdrawn classmate, and of course it's getting compared to Heartstopper. So the last week of releases is going to be August 26th, and we have a lot of books coming out, starting off with Pucking Strong by Emily Rath. Emily Rath writes a adult, I want to say it's Why Choose novel series, and it is an adult hockey romance series with most of the characters being heterosexual, or most of the relationships being FM leaning. I've heard a lot of criticism of this series, especially towards the MM representation, but they are coming out with a dedicated MM title, and it's described as a real fake marriage with slow burn and spicy workplace hockey romance. Literally, that's how it listed itself on the page, just by the tropes. I would love to see people's opinions on this series because I personally have no interest in reading it, but I'm always curious. The next book we have is The Good Vampire's Guide to Blood and Boyfriends by Jamie D'Amato, and this is listed as romance, fantasy, queer, and young adult, and this is a paranormal rom-com about college students, and then one of them is a vampire and one of them discovers this secret. We have Empty Heaven by Freddie Klosk. This is queer young adult horror, and this is taking place in a small town, and it looks like the monster element or the horror element might be like a metaphor for something else. It looks like there's like some weird stuff going on in the town, and then like the main character being haunted by something might be a more lyrical pick. But getting into the next novel, we are sticking with young adult till the end. We have A Bite of Pepper by Balaz Lurinksi, and this is a graphic novel that is young adult and queer, and it looks like it has a skateboarding vampire and a human artist falling in love and working together with their different talents, and it looks like it's going to be on the cute coming of age side of graphic novels. Next we have Lady Dragon by A.M. Strickland. This is listed as lesbian and fantasy, and it looks like it's going to be a sapphic YA romantasy where there is some type of devastation in the world. The end of Queens and the monarchy is coming to a close, but our main character is going to try and save it. Very vague wording here. And for the last book that is releasing, we have Roar of the Lambs by Jameson Shea. This is listed as young adult horror and it is queer. And it looks like it's about the end of the world and the synopsis poses the question of who would you save and who would they let you save. So very vague, very intriguing, maybe dystopian, maybe mystery, not quite sure. But yeah, those are all the new releases for the month of August. Let me know if anything intrigues you. I have my eye on a couple of these, but I am definitely somebody now that's going to be waiting and seeing what the buzz is. But if I had to pick two, I would probably pick the Sunflower Boys and then Tony and Addie Go Viral. But there's some other ones that I'm really interested in as well. But again, let me know. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later, and I will be back next month. Happy reading.